Well, hello and welcome to the farm where it is finally feeling a little bit spring, and I want it to feel a little bit more like spring. It is still cool out, but we have days where the sun is coming out, it's getting warm, and it's getting close to Easter time, and you know I love a good table setting and a reason to celebrate. And could there be anything better? So in the past, I've done different table setting down the center arrangements, and they all start off with the same thing, and I'm doing it today too, because it can be multi-seasonal. And it is a piece of birch. Now, of course you don't have to use a piece of birch, but what I like is it adds instant, just kind of dramatic effect with a little bit of height. It adds some texture, it adds some color, and it just adds a nice natural element, which anything I do brings the outdoors in just a little bit because that's what you want to do when you're craving a different season. So to start off, I have the birch there laying down the center. It's literally a piece of broken birch from a tree outside. Now around it, I'm deciding to do hues of green here for spring. So I'm doing depression glass candle holders. Some of them are Vaseline glass, some of them are clear green glass, and you can just see that they're kind of tones of green, and that's what I'm gonna mix in for the additives, which are some flowers, because that's what you have to do. So I'm using some McKay jadeite. These are like from the 40s, and they're just fun to use as a vase, even though they were of course not meant for a vase. And I'm also using my other collections just because I think it's fun to mix and match things you might have. It's fun to use them because, guys, you know as well as I, if you don't find a way to use them, you're not gonna use them. So what I did was get some pretty reasonable flowers. Tulips right now you can get extremely reasonable, and then just filler. The stuff that's like a few dollars, we're talking $3 maybe each bundle, and you can make a big impact with it. So I like to choose one main flower with maybe just two colors, so it's not too much, but just great pops of color, and then mix and match it in all these little vases. That's just the fun thing to do, because you're using, you know, where I live. I'm here in Iowa, and you know what? Our stuff outside doesn't always come up as soon as everyone else. So I'm gonna make just little bouquets, and I am gonna save. If I have some nice leaves like this, I'm gonna actually use them because look, they are able then to fill in and give you a little bit more impact with not having to have as many flowers. Because the thing is, you can make one huge flower arrangement, but sometimes I think doing these little bouquets kind of just make a huge impact that we're just not used to, and it's something that's really special, and you don't need near as many flowers, you don't need as much. So I'm gonna start making some little bouquets, and then we're gonna set them down the table. So I have the tulip ones together, and I'm now just using this filler in all these little vases because it gives you, I always find that when you pick a filler that on its own, filler just means something that oftentimes traditionally would be just around maybe some flowers in a larger, you know, kind of arrangement. But when you use it on its own, it becomes kind of this higher impact element that's really fun. And like, this takes on a mossy look, which we're gonna bring in more of. And it kind of just makes these fun little tufts of green and fresh. And they're so reasonable that we're talking a few dollars for each bunch. That's a great way to kind of utilize and make the tulips go farther and look better and more impactful on the table. So now we're gonna spread all these little things out on the table. We're gonna make little bundles kind of up and down. This is what I love to do because instead of one arrangement in the middle of the table, we're getting kind of some impact all up and down the table. So no matter where you're sitting, you're gonna get some color, you're gonna get some variety, you're gonna get something that's just kind of interesting, kind of fun, kind of different, and it kind of just really makes that table look more, I think, put together, more creative, and that to me is the fun of it. And you can kind of play around where all those need to go and move them. You guys, you know, when you're gonna entertain, when you're gonna have people over, you might as well have fun with it. So I'm gonna set these out too, and I'll show you why here in a minute, but I wanna place them so I know where they're going before I add in kind of just some filler for the table. Not that it's needed, but I do think it adds just a nice little element. So we're kind of spreading those out, and now what we're gonna do, I have different types of moss here. So I have sheet moss. This is what I use in all my house plants, and I just usually set it on top of the plant dirt so it hides it. Then we have reindeer moss in two different varieties. So all these, no, they're not alive, they are preserved, and they have color in them to make them look better. And so all these are just ways to kind of hide imperfections, kind of make it look almost like a living arrangement, which is something, I don't know, that's something I always do. I love to add elements of almost lifelike things. So you'd find birch maybe that had fallen over. This is gonna sound almost crazy, but fallen over out in a forest, and you would find moss growing on it. So it makes sense then to use these little tufts of moss and these fun pops of color and just kind of have fun with it, because guys, what is the point of living a life without color and without fun like this? So I'm gonna keep putting the moss around, then we're gonna finish it up, and just one final element that makes it super Eastery, super spring, and just fun. You need a finishing element, and so I pulled these off of my coffee table. These are all preserved eggs. They're real eggs that I have just either blown out or let just kind of preserve in their own and just dry up. So I'm now just placing them around, and I think, you know what? It's the ultimate kind of spring feel, is it not, to have some eggs, just to have them kind of placed around. If you do dyed eggs at home, you could totally use your home eggs that you've dyed and gotten ready. And you can kind of see that in some of them. You can see where they've been blown out because they have little holes in them. So, and then the ones that don't are just preserved like that and you don't see it. So you can kind of just pop them in there, set them around, and then you can even place a few in different places and not set your shirt on fire because I put the candles on. But this is kind of, you can see, the moss one, it gives a nice base to be able to set some of the eggs in, but it also just kind of finishes it off and gives you this, I don't know, it's just this really fun, creative, ethereal, just spring feel, and I really like that. It's not being kind of, over dramatic with bunnies, but it's just kind of having fun with the elements of spring, and that's what I crave. So you can kind of place as many or as few eggs around as you want. You can kind of just enjoy it. Look at the spring colors. I like it. So I put a few place settings out just so you can see how you can still enjoy it. Everything's low enough that you can talk, you could converse, everyone is seeing something fun. Guys, this is the point, to have fun, to enjoy your collections or things that mean something to you, or just enjoy what you have. Have some fun with it, put some things around, make an occasion out of every day, whether it's for Easter or whether it's just because it's Monday and we all need something on a Monday. So I hope this inspires you. I hope this excites you. Most of all, I hope it makes you smile. So as always, please share these videos around because yeah, it helps me, but it helps the world see the world. We can all be the world together. See how easy and fun it is to just enjoy the season. So share them around, check my website, wiseguy.com, for recipes, whether they're for Easter or any time of the year, gardening, canning, preserving. I'm all here for it. And you know what? If I can do it, I know you can do it. And so we can all do it and just make the world a happier, prettier place.